After dutiful service, cleaning up cat mess, dog mess, child mess, etc., the hose has developed a leak right here. So I'm going to replace it with this rando hose from the interwebs. Not even the same color, but it was cheap. So this is for the Bissell SpotBot, and I will take shots as I take this apart. I'm a little surprised how quickly that came apart. There are 4 aluminum screws underneath the waste tank and soap tank, and the entire top will just lift. Control leads are connected through a ribbon cable, and I don't know how to disconnect that yet, so I will work on figuring that out. Nothing crazy was necessary. I just pull these connector off gently. So the seat's in here, and that's the back of the control board. So we'll set that out of the way. And it looks like our motor assembly is here, and then our waste hose connects here. So figuring out how this is supposed to splice in is going to be fun. We'll have to look at the new part we've got. So the plastic moldsmen have blessed us with a very wonky looking connector. So the soap line looks like it's relatively simple. It splits off and goes to the left immediately, but this is going to require probably pulling out the control board and whatever electronics are here to get this assembly to go bottom. It does look like it connects straight to the waste tank here, so it might lift out and be able, oh, you know what? I'll just pull on that. Let's see if I can. See how this is seated. Sure enough. Okay. So, we give ourselves enough line. Ooh, that is pretty foul looking. And looks like there's a simple hose clamp right there we'll need to undo to get this guy off, so let me get that done real quick. So, as one would expect, the soap has probably broken down the plastic in this hose. It has fused itself with this nylon fitting. So I'm going to take a X-Acto knife and give a quick trace on the outside of this hose to break it, and then pull it off because this is garbage anyway. One of these is not like the other, so I'm not sure if there's a different revision, and I don't even know if it'll work with my unit. Also completely missing the gasket that this one appears to have, so this is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens if I try to assemble this. Okay, so there were 2 screws attaching this entire electronics assembly, and they attach right here on top of the solenoid for the soap. So the little solenoid sits there. I'm just going to lay this board over, and we'll see if I can finagle something in here. So the good news is I might be able to reuse the other end assembly. This twists off. I noticed that nub was sitting there as a gasket here, and then the hose pulls through. So I want to try to attach the silver intake assembly that my unit has to this green hose and hope that it's the same ID and matches the other coupling. We'll see what happens. I apologize in advance because it looks pretty disgusting, but that's some cat hair on there, so that's got the hole in the bottom. So this assembly does come apart. So what I'm going to do is shove the other soap line down in there and rebuild it now. So an old trick with fuel lines, sometimes if you cut a little bit off the edge, it'll help you get started and go through a hole like this. Yep, and on the first try after fighting it for a second, that X-Acto knife trick did the job. So yeah, if you're ever threading fuel line for a weed eater or a lawnmower, that's a good trick to know. Just put a little cut in it and give it a little bit off the OD, and she'll slide right on in. It's a wee bit hammered dog poop, but it works. So there's the silver, not literally hammered dog poop, but mainly cat fur and child vomit. But this line here, silver line, just kind of slid right back in there. It's a lot easier without this electronics box, so I'd recommend taking those 2 screws out and lifting this guy out of the way just to start. And then once this is reassembled, it's good to go. Hopefully you don't have to take apart and reuse the old component there, but just know I bought the entire hose assembly, and apparently there are 2 variants. So there we go. Something else to mention, this entire soap receiver assembly just lifts out, so when you're working around this line here off to the hose, you can kind of lift this guy out of the way, feed that back down in there where it should be. It's setting pretty low like that, and then just lay that back in. So reassembly is just in reverse. Make sure to pay attention to the keys on the cable here so that you get the orientation correct, and yeah, then it should just lay on top. Oop, I'm going to drop it holding the cell phone here. There we go. All done. That was easy. All right, there's a fully reassembled vacuum, ready to go. I'll run a test on it. Tools used for this, you don't need the ridiculous Phillips #2, but anytime I'm taking apart a plastic appliance, I grab this from a habit of old 1990s monitors, but any Phillips should generally do. I use curved needle nose to undo the hose clamp, and then this was just an X-Acto knife to slice that hose to free the old one off the T-assembly. There you go. That's all you need to fix the hose on your SpotBot pet vacuum and save yourself $200, $300-ish, whatever these things go for these days.